A very happy Christmas, happy Boxing Day here from Pleasure Beach. Filming this just after the big day. I know I said in the previous shorts that I might be able to get out and do a full park update before Christmas, but sadly the weather and other commitments got in the way, I'm afraid. I mean, the weather over the past few weeks here has been absolutely shocking. We've had Storm Dara recently, and then the weekend just gone we had an unnamed storm with gusts up to 60 miles an hour, if you saw in the most recent shot. Obviously I do try and get out and film as much as I can during the storms, but obviously it's all about safety at the end of the day. I mean, where I'm stood now, the waves from the sea were coming right over onto the tram lines here. But yeah, back out now on Boxing Day after the big day, so hopefully everybody enjoyed the Christmas day yesterday. But it's going to be a full park update today to see what has changed since the last full inside the park update, because that was the last full one, was when the park was still open back at the end of November. So we're going to be starting here on the promenade, probably going through the tunnel and ending up by the main car park. So the big one here, obviously it's not getting any of its usual retracking maintenance schedules this year, because I think the 5 or 6 year lease, the term that they had with the company doing it, I think that expired. So there's not going to be any retracking work happening this year. Obviously last year we focused on the bit of track there above the yellow building, but yeah, no retracking work planned this year. I have noticed though, I had the one in the Boulevard car park, but they have got a bit of scaffolding just behind the tower there, just a little bit there, because I think they're actually replacing one of the cow bars. Could be the wrong terminology, but it's one of the bits that go from the centre spine up to the running rails, and also I think they're actually replacing some of the maintenance walkway platforms within the track as well. So yeah, just a little small bit of scaffolding there on the big one on the bottom of the first drop. But yeah, as I say, no full retracking work happening this year from Tasdica or the park. I would imagine maybe they might start again next year. My only thinking, they haven't done it this year because they have got a lot of work with inside the park to do, such as obviously the river caves, the Grand Prix, obviously Ice Blast, now being called the Launchpad, which we'll talk about that later on. Potentially the Bowl-A-Drome being knocked down, and other smaller changes happening around the park as well to get it ready for next March opening day. So yeah, probably not going to be talking a lot about the big one on the promenade this off-season, this winter, but at the minute, just that small bit of scaffolding just over there at the bottom of the first drop. So I'm probably going to head over to the tunnel now and see what latest changes are happening with the Grand Prix. Probably not a lot of changes have happened since the recent short I did, because I did show in that one that they had started flattening the ground, land clearance, making it all tidy, probably getting ready to grass it over for maybe picnic areas for next March opening day. But we're heading over to the tunnel right about now. Right, so I'm having a little sneaky look here into the Big Dipper station area. Obviously the last update I showed from inside the park obviously stood by the fountain wall and up on the walkways just there. I showed that they had started doing some work on the braking system here in the station. I mean, obviously it's a lot harder now from outside the park, but just on the bottom there, I'll put a circle just so you can kind of see it a little bit better. They have removed the braking system there, and also at the offload platform further up in the station there as well. There seems to be a big pile of wood on the side there, so maybe that's the old braking system popped on the loading platform. But yeah, I would imagine maybe they're changing the braking system to make it more health and safety compliant, maybe. I'm not too sure about why they've removed the braking system for the Big Dipper, because it was on 2 trains for a lot of the season, and then towards the end of the year they couldn't run it on 2 for an unknown reason. So maybe the only reason to get it back on 2 trains is to change the braking system. Hopefully it gets something similar to like Grand National to make it run on 2 trains safely, and hopefully the lifter can be sped up to what it used to be as well, because it crawls up there ever since it had a terrible accident back in, I think it was 2009 or 2007, something like that. But yeah, Big Dipper at the minute is having some work done here in the ride station. But I'm going to pan over to that side, you can see there the Grand Prix, and talk about that. So yeah, let's go talk about the Grand Prix. So yeah, the Grand Prix here, obviously I showed it in the short, but obviously you can see they have done plenty of land clearance, and obviously the old track structures and supports have all left the site now. We still do have the fountain remaining intact in the centre there, with a few of the trees that were already there previous when the Helix was running around the fountain here. I can see it from here. I'll try and zoom in for you. But the track supports and everything that the Grand Prix did down to the big one and back is all remaining in place down there for now. Maybe into January they will come back and start removing them sections before March, but at the minute they're all still intact down there. But yeah, the Grand Prix obviously in this section, obviously just to think, November 30th we were literally stood there with obviously all the destruction, devastation that was still intact, and we still had the small section of Grand Prix track just here behind the green fencing on my right hand side that was all still intact. But yeah, you can see how they have removed everything, putting some new soil down, probably going to put some grass seeds down to make it all grass over, because just over there by the Avalanche's brake run we do have the sensory garden over there, which is all still remaining intact. So I would imagine probably for the first few years they're going to expand the sensory garden until they decide in future years what new attraction to put here in the future. I'll throw in a few more shots here of the Grand Prix from different angles, but for now obviously this is the current state of it on Boxing Day. Right, so this was the entry point for the construction vehicles going in and out of the Grand Prix Helix demolition area. We've still got a little bit of debris still on the ground here, and obviously don't need to fix up the pathways down here as well, because there used to be a entrance shed structure that used to be here, and you go up that left path just there into the sculpture garden, and obviously around on the pathway you can see just behind the green fence in there. But yeah, I would imagine all this will be tidied up before the park opens on, I believe, the 1st of March 2025. So yeah, just a little bit of TLC needed here before opening day. Looking down the pathway there towards the big one, I can't see any work happening down there past Avalanche or anything, but obviously a bit early yet in the maintenance, so we'll see what happens before March with that one. Right, so I'm now actually stood in the back car park here just off Bond Street. There is the Grand National attraction, and obviously all back of houses, offices, maintenance buildings, things like that. Obviously you can see the back Valhalla show building there, the big blue building, and obviously Ice Blast there, all in the scaffolding, which we do now know is going to be called Launchpad for next year. Obviously they're retheming it and hopefully giving it a new propulsion system to give it that more of a fast blast up into the sky like it used to back when the ride first opened in 1999, when it was known as PlayStation the Ride. So yeah, obviously the seat design back on the old gondola was 3 all the way around, and then some point after I think the PlayStation sponsorship ended, it was obviously then sponsored by Tango, so it was called Tango Ice Blast for a bit, and they changed the seating arrangement to 4-2-4-2. Obviously it still held the same amount, but it made more sense to do them in 4s and 2s because more people tend to come to the parks in even numbers, unlike groups of 3. And then obviously after the Tango Ice Blast sponsorship ended, it was just generally known as Ice Blast for the remaining years of its operation. And then obviously for the whole 2024 the ride was closed. We heard that it was waiting on a new part. Practically the first half of the year nothing was happening, no work was happening. The gondola was all still intact minus the seats and restraints. There was no visible changes happening. They'd permanently barrier off the entrance and exit, and then about end of July maybe August time, they started erecting scaffolding from the very bottom all the way up to the top, which we had been covering throughout the whole year. And we were thinking, oh, maybe work is finally going to be happening, maybe it's going to be getting a removal, maybe they're going to take the pieces out of the tower bit by bit, or maybe it's, they're going to get a retheme. But obviously we now know that the ride is getting a retheme into Launchpad. So obviously they started painting the structure blue, which we did notice at the end of the 2024 season, and obviously they have released some pictures online from drone shots as well of them painting the whole structure blue from the top, and I'm pretty sure the work is now complete all the way down to the bottom of it being a blue colour, a space blue. Whether it's going to have some space theming around the ride, like some astronauts, some planets maybe, obviously we don't really know the full depth and details of its full retheme. Or we know it's going to be called Launchpad and it's going to have a space theme, but obviously it would be nice if it does have a good theme, like a good like countdown before it shoots up, because I did do one earlier in the year at Movie Park over in Italy. That was a space theme. Well, I can't remember what its name was. That was an S&S shot tower as well, but it had a very good theme on it. It had a nice massive Apollo rocket strapped onto the side of the tower, and obviously it would shoot up and it would also shoot down. It was a combo tower, so hopefully Ice Blast might be converted into a combo tower, because at the minute Ice Blast was just a launch up and it was done. But a majority of them, like the one also in Flamingo Land, that shoots up and shoots down. But when we head over into the next car park, if it's open, I'll talk a little bit more of Ice Blast now Launchpad then. But if I spin around here, I'm not going to get too close to it. You can see over in the scrapyard over here, we see this blue pipe here. This was the old blue pipe that used to be in Ice Blast. So obviously I'm no expert on S&S shot towers. I would imagine maybe the blue pipe is what rockets the gondola up the tower and brings it back down again. So maybe that was a new part the park was waiting on, a new blue propulsion system. But yeah, it's just sat over here, obviously waiting to be scrapped, or I would imagine maybe they're going to sell parts of it off for enthusiasts to have. But yeah, it's always been a bit of a scrapyard over here. As you can see, we've got some green River Cay's boats just over there next to the van, and just peeking out behind the bushes as well, we've still got some old sections of Big One track over there. I'm not too sure which sections they are, and just in between the massive container and this wooden thing here, there's like a blue roof or something. That's one of the cars from the old monorail attraction. So yeah, it's always been a bit of a scrapyard over here, but it is interesting to see the old blue propulsion system pipe still sitting here to this day. Obviously that's been removed for a couple of months now and just been placed over here. But yeah, we're going to head over to the other car park if it's open, as I say, and see if any more ride vehicles have appeared, and talk a little bit more on the Ice Blast now Launchpad attraction, which apparently is scheduled to be open for opening day next March 2025. Right, so sadly this car park is closed. I'm not going to bother going in because I can't be bothered with security coming out and crying saying I shouldn't be in here. But there's not been an awful lot of changes since the show. We still have at least the 2 trains worth of Big One sitting here, obviously all 10 carriages still here. We've got the pink I can't remember what they're called now, the hydraulic motors here to lift the cars up and down, obviously on the attraction. And we still have the blue train sitting there at the back for Grand National. And obviously I showed it in the short last, but on the other compound we've got Avalanche, green, purple and red trains for Grand National. And way in the distance over there we have the now open sign and the cars for the Krusty Krab drop tower. So yeah, they have moved the Big Dipper trains from out here to back of house, and there isn't that many more things to talk about out here at the minute. Just another overview here of the car park from the Balmoral boundary wall. There's another look at all the trains for Big One and Blue Train for National. And then moving over to the other side, obviously I showed it in the last shot, obviously up closer. We have Avalanche, Steeplechase, more Grand National trains, and more of the Krusty Krab seating over there as well. But yeah, sadly the car park is closed. The shop at the far end is closed also, so can't go in at the minute, sadly. Until the shop reopens, you're technically not allowed in this car park for the time being, so we'll just have to stay out here on the boundary wall having a glance over at the minute. Right, so we're going to end this update here today from Pleasure Beach by having another slightly closer look here at Ice Blast, now going to be called Launchpad, as I say. I'll put the pictures up that the park have released on screen again during this clip, but yeah, they have, obviously we showed from the recent updates from inside the park how the very top of the tower was removed, and obviously probably going to be repainted blue to match the rest of the tower. And obviously if you want to have a better look at the colour of the tower, then just look at the latest inside the park updates that I did back on November the 30th. But yeah, from the very top of the tower now all the way up there, at least the top of the Globe's theatre roof there, it is all painted blue now, and imagine right down to the ground it is all painted blue as well. Obviously I can't really get any closer like down to the gates there, so I don't know if the actual ride gondola, the seats or anything like that are back on site yet. I would imagine maybe they're still back of house there, maybe getting some new colours, some new mechanisms. But as I said, in the back car park, I really hope with this new propulsion system that they're going to get, obviously the new blue pipe, it can allow it to shoot up and shoot down, doing its combo setting like various other shot towers do around the world. Because obviously you can still see within there that the red ones are still in there, so the red ones clearly weren't the issue, it was that blue one I showed over in the back car park. So yeah, it is interesting how Pleasure Beach have decided to keep this attraction, maybe because obviously it's a crowd please. Obviously it's 200 feet high, you can see it from outside the park, and you can see it like you see the big one coming in on the motorway into Blackpool. So yeah, interesting how they're keeping a 1999 shot tower in the park, but obviously I'm all for it. And obviously there is all them rumours still about the Intamin gyro swing happening at the Bowl-A-Drome. I had a look through one in the tunnel, and sadly no work has taken place yet on any demolition works or any markings revolving the Bowl-A-Drome that's like a tongue twister, that the Bowl-A-Drome building. So yeah, hopefully maybe into January the digger that took down the Grand Prix Helix might come back and start knocking down the Bowl-A-Drome. But if not, if the Intamin gyro swing doesn't come for next season, then I would hopefully and guarantee that it's going to be a 2026 attraction, that one, because obviously halfway through this year everyone did see a NatWest cash loan agreement, and it was titled Intamin gyro swing, so we all know it's going to be an Intamin gyro swing at some point in the park. It's just a matter of time of waiting to see when the park decides to do any ground clearance on that attraction. So at least we'll have Ice Blast open for next year with a new theme. Obviously there was a lot of ifs and buts as to why they've chosen a space theme when you've got Loki's and Valhalla right there for Viking theme. I'm on both fences. Obviously it would have been nice to have a Viking shot tower to fit in with like a little small Viking themed area, but at the end of the day Pleasure Beach is an amusement park. Yes, they do have Nickelodeon land to be obviously a themed land, but the rest of the park isn't really themed at all, is it? They're more just generic sort of stylized bits and bobs around the park. Obviously Avalanche had a little small Swiss theme, but there's no other Swiss areas around the park. Obviously Icon is all stylized to sort of be like a Chinese flower garden as such, but as for that, there's not really many themed areas in the park. So yeah, we'll keep tracks on Ice Blast, now Launchpad, over the winter season, see what happens with it. But as for today's update here from the Pleasure Beach, I hope you have enjoyed it. Obviously apologies that there hasn't been any full park updates in recent weeks, but as I said at the start, we have had some quite bad storms, Storm Dara, and one just before Christmas, an unnamed one with 60+ gust mile-an-hour winds here. So yeah, not been going out to get it, and obviously been preparing for Christmas Day as well. Obviously that's a little bit more important than getting out in horrific weather conditions to film the park anyway. But obviously as we move into January and February, there'll be a lot more winter walk round videos, and I would imagine there's going to be a lot more winter work happening on site and within the park as well. But obviously I'll do my best to get out, weather permitting obviously, and show you all the latest changes happening here at the park. So yeah, if you want to follow the journey through Pleasure Beach this winter, hit the subscribe button, tick the bell so you're never missing any of the YouTube shorts. I know some people do actually miss the shorts, because unlike a proper video like this one, it doesn't actually notify you when it's come up. But if you tick the bell, it will always let you know when a video and the short has come up. And obviously comment if you enjoy these videos, because I obviously do enjoy making them. So yeah, I'll see you all next time from the Pleasure Beach.